The Pyramids of Scotland Revisited, an article by Jeff Nisbet. On February 11, 2009, several UK newspapers reported that the Israeli spoonbender of the 1970s, Uri Geller, had purchased Scotland's tiny Lamb Island, and that my 2002 Atlantis Rising article, The Pyramids of Scotland, had inspired the purchase. It was enough to create a huge increase in my website traffic and to waken my article from its 7-year slumber. Lamb Island, aka The Lamb, sits about a mile from the seaside town of North Berwick and was a central island of 3 that I claim mirrored the layout of the belt stars of the constellation Orion, which according to the hotly debated Orion correlation theory was also mirrored in the layout of the Gizimids, the pyramids of Egypt. I demonstrated how Orion stars acted with Sirius, an important star in Egyptian cosmology, dictated the locations of several sacred sites connected to the Knights Templar, the order of warrior monks exterminated in 1307 for reasons that still spark controversy. One of those sites, Rosslyn Chapel, would later capture worldwide attention in Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code. The correlation also showed connections with Tara, legendary seat of the High Kings of Ireland, and with Dunsinane Castle, one-time repository of Scotland's Stone of Destiny, the fabled stone thought to have been brought to Scotland by followers of Egyptian Princess Scotta, a legend told by Walter Bower, abbot of Incom, in his 15th century history, the Scotichronicon. Academics dismiss that legend as a tale fabricated to give Scotland's monarchs an ancient lineage and ignore such discoveries as the UK excavations of Egyptian artefacts, the superabundance of a common strain of mitochondrial DNA in both regions, and a Bradley University report claiming that Egypt imported certain construction techniques from Scotland. Moreover, the Scotichronicon is not the legend's only record. Travel writer William Dalrymple claims that a letter to Charlemagne from English scholar Alcuin refers to the Scots as Pueri Aegyptici, the children of Egypt, and author Ralph Ellis traces the story's origin back further to Manetho's 300 BC History of Egypt. But I've discovered much more. Walter Ferrier, in his 1980 The North Berwick Story, explains the etymology of the town's name, writing that Ber is the Old English word for barley, and Wick means village. In star names, their lore and meaning, Richard Hinckley Allen reports that in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, Orion was known as Smati Osiris, the barley god. In my article, I drew attention to a mid-17th century map on which the lamb was named Long Bellenden. Curious because it is the shortest of 3 islands. I then speculated that the islands may have been one long island at some point, carved from the mainland by a catechism the ancient myth makers would only hint at, and then cut into 3, and that the nearby North Berwick lore, just 3 feet shorter than Giza's Great Pyramid, might have been shaped into the pyramidal from how we now recognise it by. My theories, needless to say, have met with some amusement in certain quarters, and I'm told that one alternate researcher has been known to go for a few cheap laughs at my expense. Nevertheless, I have since found two local tales that suggest a bit of terraforming might indeed have occurred. The tale of the saint. Legend has it that there once existed a rock that was a danger to shipping. A monk named Baldred miraculously moved it around the coast and out of harm's way, creating a geological feature since known as St. Baldred's Boat. The tale of the devil. One day the devil was strolling up the surf and so frightened a local woman that she let out a shriek. Startled, the devil dropped his walking stick and splashed away. His stick shattered, becoming the three islands in my article. The nearby Bass Rock, upon which can be seen the ruins of Baldred's Chapel, is also known as the Devil's Hoof. Then there are the lions. Lying next to Lamb Island is the sleeping lion that many see in the shape of Craigleith Island, and 20 miles to the west stands Arthur's Seat, the sphinx-shaped extinct volcano that dominates Edinburgh's skyline. A third lion may be seen in Scotland's Royal Standard, the flag that shows a red rampant lion, and archaeologist Mark Lehner has established that the Great Sphinx was once painted red. The fourth lion is found in the legend of Lyonesse, the tale of a land that sunk beneath the waves of England's southwest coast. Etymologically, however, the name has been traced as an alteration of the French word Lyonesse, which itself developed out of Lodonesia, the Roman name for Lothian. North Berwick lies in East Lothian. Within a day of Geller's purchase, a conversation began on the Cabin of Wonders website. One poster duplicated my original graphic and confirmed that Sirius, the alpha star of the constellation Canis Major, did indeed fall on Incolm Island, where Walter Bower compiled his Scotichronicon. Interestingly, the poster discovered that the constellation's beta star, often referred to as the Herald because it rises before Sirius, fell within Edinburgh, and wondered if the spot held significance. In fact, it fell in an area I knew well, an area named Starbank Park, which has a star cut out of it in the slope of its hill, flanked by two crescent moons, with a circular area above, presumably the sun. I haven't been able to discover how the park was named, but it is not unlikely that Edinburgh's Grand Lodge of Freemasons might have had a hand in it. Incolm lies within sight of Starbank Park, and there is local tradition that names it the Isles of the Druids. 18th century intellectual Thomas Paine, in his treatise on the origin of Freemasonry, claims that the fraternity's roots are found in the solar-centric religion of the Druids, their priestly class extant in Britain during the Roman occupation, driven underground by the rise of Christianity. Paine attributes the importance of Freemasonic society to fear, observing, when any new religion overruns a former religion, the professors of the new become the persecutors of the old. We see this in all instances that history brings before us, and concludes that this would naturally and necessarily oblige such of them as remained attached to their original religion to meet in secret and under the strongest injunctions of secrecy. Their safety depended on it. Frank C. Higgins, in his 1919 Ancient Freemasonry, An Introduction to Masonic Archaeology, states that the 23.5-degree angle and its 47-degree double are two of Freemasonry's cosmic angles, and that they are encoded on coins showing pre-Christian Phoenician temples of Cyprus, ancient Greek paintings of Hermes and Ceres, as well as Masonic keystone and compasses of the present day. To those two numbers we should add a third, 33, the highest attainable degree of rank in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, as well as the number of the latitudinal line along which, for reasons unknown, many of the world's sacred sites are located. Using these three numbers, I have discovered an ancient message encoded by the pyramid builders. To understand that message and its implications, we must first consider the prime meridian. The prime meridian is an invisible line that stretches between the north and south poles, which, due to the rotation of the Earth, passes the sun every 24 hours. It calibrates the hours of the day around the world and begins the first of 360 vertical slices of 1 degree each. Its position is arbitrary, but in 1884 it was agreed that Greenwich, UK, should mark the international prime meridian, and it has done so ever since. The Great Pyramid sits at 31.08 degrees east of Greenwich, and researchers Scott Creighton and Gary Osborne have recently demonstrated that Freemasonry's cosmic angles of 23.5 and 47 degrees relating to the Earth's axial tilt have been encoded in its internal geometry, and Osborne has found those same angles encoded in countless works of art over many centuries. I decided that any civilization advanced enough to build the Great Pyramid would likely have used its position to mark its own prime meridian. Then I counted 33 degrees to the west, to Morocco's Atlas Mountains, and established that the meridian that today runs north to south through a point 1 degree 52 west of Greenwich would, to the pyramid builders, have marked their own 33rd meridian. So I then drew a horizontal line between the Great Pyramid and that point, and then another directly north along the ancient 33rd line. Incredibly, my second line all but kissed 4 major English sacred sites on its way to the north: Stonehenge, Silbury Hill, Avebury, and Thornborough. The huge three-henge complex confirmed as the world's first monument aligned to Orion's star belt. Before nearing the border of Scotland at the holy Isle of Lindisfarne, perhaps indicating that this ancient 33rd meridian may have once been as sacred and important as today's 33rd parallel, and possibly have been the prime meridian before Giza. That's when things got really interesting. The 4 islands that had figured so mightily in my Pyramids of Scotland article, Orion's Belt Star Islands and the Isle of May, lay in the rectangular form between the ancient 33rd and 34th meridians, and the 23rd to the 23.5 degree parallels north of today's 33rd. Astonishingly, using the most significant Freemasonic numbers, 2 of which relate to the Earth's axial tilt, the geometry from the Great Pyramid's ancient prime meridian painted the way to the North Berwick area, and once there, those same numbers helped enclose the area of the North Sea wherein my Belt Star Islands and the May lay. Even more incredible I discovered that the line I had drawn between Tara and the May 7 years ago followed a 47-degree angle, as did a line drawn from the eastern edge of Lindisfarne and the May, creating a 47-degree pyramid with the May at its apex. Perhaps symbolically, the Great Pyramid's missing capstone. Due to the enormous distance involved, I've been unable to establish if the Lindisfarne line continues exactly to Giza, but I'd lay odds on it. And finally, I've calculated that the distance between the Great Pyramid and North Berwick equals 1/10 the circumpolar circumference of the Earth. So as you can see, we can see that Scotland is a very complex nation and very much involved in what is called the New World Order. So stay tuned and we'll be examining more of the Scottish, English, Egyptian connections and the roots of the British Israel movement and how this might have implications for the rest of the 21st century.